in the teaching field, like as a professor in various engineering colleges, and at present he is working in Dixilani, Goa. It is very proud to say that he is the founder and CMD of CSA. He has many projects with MHRD and SERV. He has many publications in various reputed journals like Science Direct, IEEE, IET, and also have big chapters in Springer. So we are really happy to have you as one of our discussion, sir. Today he is going to enlighten us about the application of blockchain technology in markets. Sir, thank you for being with us, sir. You can start your session, sir. Chandran, sir,
Ah,
you can start your session, sir. Thank you for being with us, sir.
am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Audible, sir.
Okay. One more thing. Screen is appearing to everyone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're able
Okay.
to. It's visible, sir.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Good morning to all coordinators, organizing team, as well as participant of today's program. I think. Thank you very much, madam, to introducing me to the audience of today's lecture. So this program is about current trends in smart grid. I think yesterday I was there and I heard chief guest presentation about the interdisciplinary activities which are like combining of computer science, electronics, and electrical, and also instrumentation, sometimes mechanical. So today the modern world is revolving towards the integration of all engineering branches. Even today's topic is about application of blockchain technology in smart grids. I hope the participants are from the background of electrical and electronics engineering, and somehow maybe some of you are working in the area of power system, power electronics, and control engineering. So therefore, this may be appearing buzzword for the electrical engineering people. So let me briefly give glimpse of what is blockchain technology, how it is implemented in smart grids. So this is the sequence of my presentation of today's webinar, blockchain technology and its introduction, and what are the various classification of blockchain technology and various architectures proposed so far in the area of blockchain technology, and how this blockchain technology has been implemented in electricity markets, and how this blockchain technology is used in smart grids, and what are the various current blockchain technology developments around the world, including India. Some latest information about blockchain technology and their like applications in various industries as well as some other domain. So before I would like to go to the introduction about blockchain technology, it's a very simple word, block and chain. I think most of you know about control engineering. So we teaches the students about block diagram data reduction techniques. So here block is nothing but it has some kind of information. So if you take any like in terms of transfer function or any other terms, The block, it contains some information, so it has input and output. So some kind of transactions will be happened within the block. And the same information, if there are multiple operations in any application, then all transactions will be presented in the form of blocks. And now these blocks will be interconnected in the form of chain. So operations are depending on what kind of application we are encountering. That's all. It's a blockchain, and how the blockchain technology has been used for various applications. But before going to the blockchain technology, why it is necessary in the area of power system or in power system operational control or in generation or transmission or distribution. Let me give some glimpse about the basic structure of a power system. What are the current transformations in power system? As we all know, there are three major components in power system: generation, transmission, and distribution. So what is the olden trend of power generation? So like if you go back to pre-independence of India, so the installation capacity is only 39,000 megawatts. When you compare the installation capacity today, where are we standing? Just go to this website, Central Electricity Authority, and you just see the daily reports and installed capacity. As I told, pre-independence, our installation capacity of India is only 39,000 megawatts. But you see the latest information, what you can see, just go through this. Somewhere around, just 1 second. Go to that website and just find out what is the current installation capacity in terms of gigawatts. 372 gigawatts, I can say. So it is a tremendous development in generation side. You are all know that in India there are 5 grids, regional grids: northern region, western region, south region, eastern region, northeastern region. Okay. Now out of which the currently the distribution of power generation, we know conventional energy sources and non-conventional energy sources. In the non-conventional energy sources, you see the contribution of small hydropower, wind power, and solar. These are the major renewable energy sources in India. The total capacity is 88,793. This is some brief information about total installation capacity in India, out of which how much we are utilizing depending on the grid operations. See the development in energy installation in terms of installation capacity. And now, what are the conventional energy sources? What is their contribution? We know how the conventional energy sources, their contribution will decrease day by day. So therefore, we are focusing more on renewable energy sources. If you are a power system engineer, I mean, if you know something about something about planning a power system, everybody knows for planning a power system, we go for load flow studies. So when you apply load flow studies, your first constraint is whatever is assumed at the generation side, all generated powers must be constant. But when the renewable energy sources are integrated to the grid, then you have to reformulate entire operations of power system. So this is some difficulties we are facing in terms of power generation. Earlier, it is what integrated utilities. That means Genco, Transco, and Disco all are together. That is a conventional and also traditional power system. But now that has been moved towards restructuring the power system. So in restructuring, every utility has their own operations, their own tasks, and there will be some kind of communication among the people, among the utilities, generation, transmission, and distribution, Genco, Transco, and Disco. So there are some practical issues with how to use these entities. That is some problems related to generation when it is integrated, like how it is uh, beneficial to the end users. And if you want to know the real time issues with, because we are all connected towards southern region low dispatch center, so that you can go through this website srldc.in. What is the level of developments in the entire power sector is that you can go through. See, we are now facing problem real time implementation of like frequency monitoring, and what is the total southern grid demand, and what is the India, all India demand. It's like a fraction of seconds. So earlier they use forecasting algorithm, load forecasting algorithm to match both generation and demand. Now the current trend has been changed. So all the real-time data or anything that can be seen in these websites. Now this is one more development in generation that you can go through some of the highlights about the development of renewable energy sources. And now coming to this Indian smart grid knowledge, how our Indian grid monitoring and the control aspects has been changed from like early in 2000 to now. So these are the current developments in smart grid. You just dig the information to the extent level, and you will find out the most of the information are related to once it is generated, like what are the market structures, how power markets or energy market, electricity markets are transforming towards adopting a new technologies in India. So this is another one, Smart Grid Mission, Ministry of Power and Government of India. There you can find latest development in smart grid, how it is changing. And also this is another website, Power Grid. You can go through it. What are the latest developments in India? Now, how this blockchain technology is helpful to monitoring of electricity markets and smart grids will be explained to you. Before going to that, see, these are the blockchain technology. Background for blockchain technology is Bitcoin. Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin? The background for again Bitcoin is cryptography. So this author, scholar, his name is Nakamoto, initially published one paper about Bitcoin in 2008. The same is again reproduced in the form of blockchain technology in 2018. So before going to understand about blockchain technology, let us see what is Bitcoin in a simple manner. This is the article published by Nakamoto in 2008. It's a Bitcoin, peer-to-peer electronic cash transfer. So I would like to give one simple example about the transaction of money. When you go to ATM center to withdraw cash, nowadays just we are inserting our debit card and your password will be entered like a 4-digit So once it is entered, then it will check the data, your account details and everything. If enough money is there, then that will be debited, that you can withdraw money. So those are the three stages. How is in a simple manner, in the entire process, there are some transactions. So in the transaction process, when you enter the data, like that 4-digit number, it will check in the form of function. It will check, and also it will verify with the current data. And again, now here it will move to the another level. So now you will enter your private case. Say now that will be verified. Both will be verified. If information is correct and if enough money is available in your account, then automatically you will get money. So this is the operation. So in Bitcoin also, the main motivation is transfer of money without third party. Like you are the first party and your objective is to get money. That so therefore here nobody will enter as a third party. That is the main motivation behind Bitcoin. So these are the stages to understand about Bitcoin. So what is a blockchain network? It is a kind of architecture. All operations will be happen without any third party agency in blockchain technology. So what is the main motivation? Let me explain. Here are two kind of systems. One is centralized transactions and a distributed transaction system. Let me correlate these two as our entire power system network. Earlier, it is vertically integrated systems where power is generated at a central various generation stations, and then the information will be passed to load dispatch center. So load dispatch centers has some kind of communication with the generators as well as the utilities, like all at a distribution system. So based on that, entire information will be available at centralized point. So like all together. So therefore, everything will be communicated from the central point. And also, if you take several examples, even in a traditional system, like even a banking system also, if you go to bank, then you will submit one form, and that form will be verified with the central server data. If everything is correct, then the document will be given to some other person, and again verification you will get. So this is central transaction system. In distributed transaction system, like what? If you correlate to the power system operations, like in the distributed transaction system, there may be a different utilities. So like the power generating stations, and we also call as suppliers. So supplier will give some information like how much can be generated. He can directly participate in the market mechanism, and he can participate and he can communicate and he can get the data from the consumers. So that operations can be directly happens in the distribution transaction system. So the main motivation is the changing from a centralized transaction system to distributed transaction system. That is the main motivation. It depends on the various applications. Like suppose if multiple transactions are appearing. So here what, again I will give the same example. So every customer has an account. So in that account, the amount will be deposited. So that means what? Amount is available. Now you will go and that you will enter PIN, then that information will be sent in the form of some function that is nothing but block. So this data will be verified. So wherever, like suppose we define a particular network to check the entire transaction. So if some conditions are satisfied here, then that will be passed to the next level. And if everything is correct, then you will get money. So this is like a distributed level. So again, another example in the process of transaction. So here, suppose if you link it to the power markets, so there are two players in the power market. One is the seller and another one is buyer. So all generating stations, like all generating companies are considered as a seller. Our distributed companies are taken as a buyers. So they here, without any bidding process or anything, supplier has some information. That information, like in terms of what unit price, so what will be the cost per megawatt. So and also this buyer will have that information. So now he will send that information through the transactions. And here, like if you see the power market structure in deregulated markets, like independent system operator. Independent system operator always looks at by independent operator system operator will check the matching between the suppliers and consumers. So every transaction will be processed. Even in any financial transactions also. Now we have many applications, financial applications, like if you take Paytm or some Google Pay or Phone Pay, there also the process remains same. So essentially, in blockchain technology, what it it contains blocks. So each block has some information, and the entire in that particular each block is defined with one function. That function is called hash function. So now, if there are multiple operations, then each block is a representation of one particular transaction. And the block to block, there will be a connection that is called a node. So now, when a particular, every block contains input and output. When the input is given to a particular block, so there will be some relation between output to input in the form of a hash function. So now, when input is given, it is executed. That execution is nothing but transaction in blockchain technology. Now, once it is processed, then you can expect the output, and that output will be linked to the another block. That depends on how it is connected one block to another block. So it forms a chain. So here, while connecting one block to another block, it all depends on what kind of transactions are happening in the particular blocks, and what should be the way to connect the individual blocks to complete the entire transaction. I'm giving the same example, like as I told, it is adapted from the Bitcoin. So here, if there are multiple transactions, in that case, this is the input. So the hash function. So this is one particular block. So the input is processed from here. Okay, hash function executes, and then if information is correct, then it will give output. So the output again will be linked to the another block, transaction 2 here. So now here owner, it will enter the data. If information is correct, and again that will be executed through this hash function, and finally it will give to the another block. So it will be executed again and again. That's why here how many blocks are required or how many transactions are required, it all depends on what kind of application we are using. Currently, this blockchain technology, around 70%, it is used in financial transactions. So these are the various applications. Let me zoom in. You see, in industries, energy, utilities, and mining. So it all depends on transactions like buying and selling. Sometimes how they are utilizing a smart utility metering system, and the another one is decentralized energy data platform. There are many startups presently working on blockchain technology like entertainment and media. You see, Amazon is there, Amazon Prime is there. So now you will be having username and password, and once it is entered, you can utilize it. So there also this blockchain technology is used. And in financial services, the prime motive of cryptography or Bitcoin or blockchain technology, prime motive is for financial services. And there are many applications which you can check. Why we are going for this blockchain technology? Currently, there are first is transparency. Here, you just look into the operations. I mean, in the blockchain technology, nowhere you will find the third party entry, and also it is a distributed. Therefore, the transparency can be expected, and the trust, because everything is encrypted and all operations can be stored somewhere. So therefore, trust will be there. Efficiency, most efficiency, and controlling. These are some advantages with blockchain technology. The blockchain technology is classified based on kind of operations and in what way you wanted to utilize it. So there are only, broadly speaking, there are two kind of classification. One is open source and a closed source. What is meaning of open source and closed source? It depends on the authenticity. Authenticity in the sense, see, there are, suppose some websites are available, so everybody can see the information. But in some websites, suppose if you want to dig the complete information, you have to register for it, or you should have specific username and password. So the general information is like open source to everyone. When it asks your username and password, it is like a private. Another classification is another classification of the blockchain technology is public and private. Public and private in the sense, if it is a public blockchain, that means everybody can access it. If it is a private, then only specific people can operate it. See, for, as I told, for anything which you must require a specific architecture. So what the architecture means, like you have to formulate a network, and that formulation of network depending on the way it will operate. Like suppose there are some architectures in neural network. So how it is defined? Feed forward neural network and back propagational algorithm. That means what? Architecture is like a kind of network, how the input and output are connected. So based on that, this blockchain technology is classified into, there are three major architectures are available in blockchain technology. See, the classification, even architecture is also based on what kind of operation you will make and how it is utilized. And sometimes you need have some transaction from beginning to ending. Sometimes you have to find out a best operation in the process. Sometimes all operations must be stored, and sometimes you have to find out some kind of relative information, good, medium, bad, and everything. So based on these particular aspects, there are three architectures so far proposed in blockchain technology. Let us see the first one. First architecture is Ethereum. In the beginning of the introduction of the blockchain technology, this Ethereum is a public blockchain. What it does, it just process the smart contracts. Smart contracts in the sense, already there will be specific data available, and that in the data specifically what should be picked and what transaction should be happens and how it should be processed. So therefore, here in this model, in this architecture, it's a public blockchain. Only specific information like here in this architecture, everything is stored in the form of bytecode. Bytecode in the sense, in some applications you will find if we enter the data, like suppose if you use online transactions in any banking system, if you use your online banking services, so once you enter your username and password, and then if you go to your transactions, payment transactions, so once you enter the data, one 8-digit code will be generated. So you have to enter that data. Once it is entered, again it will be processed, and then finally, if every information is correct, then you will get the entire operations will be completed. So here also every contract information will be stored in the form of bytecode, and that will be read and executed. You see, sometimes now we are using thumb impressions. They like, when you keep your mobile phone, so it will be detected based on whether what kind of mode of operations in mobile. Like sometimes we use a pattern, sometimes we use our own term for more security. So same thing will be happened here also. As I told, in the blockchain, each block has some information, and that block will be connected to another block with help of node. So sometimes even in node also, at each node, this EM will be, Ethereum virtual machine will be connected. So now this EVM executes the information. It executes the information in the sense it will check the information, and now if everything is satisfied, then it will pass the information to the other one. Just you can see the architecture. This is the Ethereum blockchain architecture. So here there are two clients. If you correlate to our power system markets, electricity markets, so there are two players. One is a person who wanted to sell energy to B, and another client is like consumer. What it does, consumer tries to buy the energy. So now, if you wanted to implement this blockchain technology for electricity markets, how operations will be happen? So he will pass the information. While passing the information, that means what? For that particular block, he is sending the information. Information in the sense, always supplier will, while selling the electricity in the form of megawatts to the other person, he will define with respect to some amount in terms of, so 1 megawatt, like suppose $50. It's like assumption. So he will define his generation function in terms of price. So that price will be communicated here. So all operations will be happen in the form of miners, and some hash functions will be defined. If it is a multiple process, some hash functions will be defined. Suppose more players are participating in that case, so it will be compiled and all transactions will be happen. So he will also, I mean, client B also will give some information. I am ready to accept, I am ready to buy for this much amount. Then again that will be checked. If it is yes, then transmission of that entire process will be done from client A to client B. So whenever he sends the data, he will get one particular information. And once the transaction is completed, and both players, client A and client B, will get the information. And once it is done, then operations will be happen. This is the Ethereum architecture. So for more information, anyhow, I will share the slides. You can just go through this link to find more information about development of the architecture and what are the major applications of Ethereum. The another architecture is Tendermint. See, in the earlier case, if it what when a part, suppose one party is sending information and some process, after that some process, if B is satisfied, then transaction will be completed from A to B. It is what, like matching. If all conditions are yes no, matching. So once matching is done, complete information will be passed. In this architecture, the major difference is it uses some consensus engine. That means what? Here there are some smart contracts are there. So in the smart contractor, it will, whenever part A sends the information, and it will also take the part B information, and in that particular one, it will find several options. So out of several options, it will pick the best option, and that best option information will be processed between A to B. Here, the another one is never allow directly implement smart contracts. So here, once it is selected, the best one is picked. Then again, the same EVM is employed to do the remaining business. In Tendermint is employed as like a search engine. So here, just look into this diagram. First part remains same. Like client A has some information, it will be processed through this EVM, and it will verify with the smart contracts. And here it will check like a search engine for best option. This remaining information same, like all transactions in each block using the hash function. So once it is completed, the best one will be given to the client B. That is the fundamental difference between. For more information, you can. The another architecture is Hyperledger Fabric. So the first one in Ethereum, it is like a transaction between A to B. In Tendermint, transaction between A to B with multiple options, and it will pick the best option, and the best one will be communicated between two parties. In Hyperledger, this is mostly used for business transactions. So in the business transactions, this more suitable. Here, what is the fundamental difference? It has highly modular and configurable architecture that enable innovation, versatility, and optimization for a wide range of use cases in the industry. Here at what? Fabric supports smart contracts, like you can implement the code and it is permissive. See what difference here? Suppose a client is passing the information and it will be executed. It will be executed, and here the fundamental difference is communication from A to B. In the first architecture, it's a direct communication. In the second architecture, it will search for the best one. In this architecture, once the information is given, it will verify, and that means what? You can implement your own logic in the form of coding language. So it will perform, update the ledger, and it will look for the same information in the form of blocks, block 1, block 2 with hash function. Finally, it will be communicated. Updations can be done with this architecture. With this, you can also find more information about Hyperledger Fabric in this link. So with this brief introduction about blockchain technology, classification, and various architectures, how this blockchain technology can be adapted to our own domain, like electricity market and smart grid. As I told in the beginning of my lecture, there is a tremendous change in the market structure. You know that in the beginning, like traditional power system, what is the job? Generation, it is transmitted to the various utilities, and billing will be done. Like our tariff is designed based on two parts. One is installation and another one is running. So there are the two in the tariff structure. The price will be like a uniform. But when the power electricity markets are introduced, like it's a trading between the players. Mostly in foreign countries like America, China, Germany, in other countries, completely the electricity market is changed a lot. Even in India also, it is going to be like a digital and decentralized. These are the two buzzwords in the electricity market. Here we know that the electricity is now become like a commodity, like other commodities. But the difference between electricity and other commodities, that can be stored, but in the electricity, whatever is generated, it must be utilized. So that means what? It's like once it is generated, it should be utilized. So in the power markets, now along with the public, along with the government power generating stations, now there are many private sectors like Tata Power, Adani, even Lanco in Andhra and Telangana. So there are many private utilities, and also there is a growth in renewable energies like wind. You know, the per unit installation cost of wind and solar. So therefore there are multiple players. So all players will be participated, and here there are two people only. One is supplier, another is consumer. Therefore there is a huge growth in. So we require some sophisticated techniques. What? Hello? Hello? So in electricity market, as I told, there are two players, seller and buyer. So now, if you just dig the information about macroeconomic theory and microeconomic theory, you will find a bidding process, auction mechanism, and etc. So in the market, when you say market, so as I said, electricity is a commodity, so that should be like generated, and it should be sold to someone. So buyer and seller. So here in bidding India, decentralized power market or in restructured power market, we are just doing the transaction in the bidding process. So supplier will bid for some amount, and buyers will quote some amount. Now at present, independent system operator will match both supplier. The bidding process will be happen at the level of independent system operator by looking at the some other constraints like transmission. When it is transmitted, it should be checked its capacity and some contingency analysis. It's like a complex. So we require some kind of technology to run the power markets in a smooth manner. So definitely this blockchain technology will be helpful in monitoring the entire power market smoothly. It's like as a peer to peer, that means like a person to another person transaction without any other platforms. So definitely this blockchain can enable local energy and consumer oriented marketplaces. In the sense, as I told in the beginning, there are two kinds of mechanisms. One is centralized mechanism and another one is distributed mechanism. So here, if you go for distributed mechanism, like suppose there is one location, suppose if you take one city, so nearby city, if you install like wind energy converter or solar, then the same power can be directly given to the consumer. So that means what? Power losses can be reduced. So that is nothing but microgrid concept. Microgrid concept. If you look at to the microgrid concept, you will find what are the benefits with microgrid. Like traditional power system will have some problem in terms of maintaining voltage to its permissible level and maintaining frequency at nearby to the 50 hertz. So there are problems. So therefore, if it is distributed, then this will be more helpful. And another thing is this blockchain technology, how it is beneficial to electricity markets. So in the process of process of transactions, it is more secure. As I told, the benefit with the blockchain technology, every record of owner, that means supplier and buyer, their information will be stored. The data is stored in a particular location. And also, I think in the yesterday's lecture, Marin has given good information about this electric vehicle and some security analysis. So here in the blockchain technology, that can be even more beneficial in the case of hybrid electric vehicle in the form of cyber security. And also we are facing some operational issues with renewable energy sources that can also be beneficial with this. Currently, several market operators, even in a private mode, they have climbed, they have studied on blockchain technology and its development to electricity market. You can just go through this Finnish economy. Yeah, their argument, like if we adopt this IoT along with the blockchain technology, so it will be more beneficial to the level of smart grid. And also Deloitte have given very good information about the market operations and how this blockchain technology may be useful for electricity markets. See, in electricity, in the deregulation, the main purpose we are trying to minimize the losses and maximize the benefits. Maximize, see, always supplier side generators will always aim at, they wanted to get more profit. That is the transformation changes in traditional to the deregulation power markets. So there are the some important things. What are the key benefits with blockchain technology if you are at sales and marketing? So here, as I told, if you use hyperledger architecture, so you can make your own code. Like you can introduce artificial intelligence techniques along with the blockchain. Here, you just look into this term, energy patterns. Like price is different for different power generating stations. Therefore, you can have the data of consumers and prosumers, and the data now see the trend has been changed from um, load forecasting to price forecasting in electricity markets. So like price, electricity price varies with respect to several factors. Like if there is a weather changes, if any other changes, it reflects on the price of the electricity. So therefore, we must, I mean, as suppliers as well as buyers should have the complete data how the price is varying from season to season. That entire thing can be stored by using some techniques. The price can be predicted using some hybrid algorithms. So therefore, with the help of those techniques, we can effectively monitor the power markets. And the another one is trading. Trading is also can be like modernized. Currently, there are some markets like PJM and some other markets. They are using this bidding process, electricity price forecasting, to run the markets effectively. So by using this blockchain technology, we can improve this trading and also automation. So if you use a proper architecture, then everything can be automated. automated in the now. If you just correlate with our Indian power system, like there are even in Andhra Pradesh, there are some regions like even what we call the entire distribution system has been split into various like NPDCL, CPDCL, EPDCL. So they are just trying to adapt to new technologies. Like earlier, even in metering like it's a traditional meter. Maybe in future, when you use power, when you use power some odd timings, like suppose in peak demand, then there are I mean even in India also we are trying to adapt a new tariff system based on frequency. If you use if you use power during the peak hours, you have to pay some extra amount. That is how the changing is happening even in India also. Sometimes the automation, like automation is also possible with the blockchain technology. Automation in the sense here just peer-to-peer energy trading. That means if seller and buyer have the data of like how much he can bear to buy the power. Like suppose if you want to buy any item, just go to OLX or even in Facebook also, there are some marketing mechanisms. So here what? Seller quote money. So that is visible to many people. So now that can be buy. It's like consumer to buyer. Like the person who is selling the item, the person who is buying the item. It's like pair, like direct trading. Even here also that can be automated. If buyer will satisfy with the amount which the seller quotes, that can be transformed directly. Like seller will have some hash function, that code will be directly uh, communicated to the buyer. So therefore, some kind of automation can be done using the blockchain technology in electricity markets. And also some other benefits. Some other benefits, even with a smart grid, grid management also possible. See, these are the some terms like it's a complex term, grid management. So maintaining grid, if you just want, you see, just watch it. What kind of information they are providing, grid frequency, and what is the current amount of power is predicted. I mean, power is forecasted. What is the current demand based on the information of demand and supply? You see the grid frequency, how it is monitored. Our power system network in India, there are several key issues at the level of generation, transmission, and distribution. Therefore, it is possible decentralized network, flexibility services, asset management. The level has been changed. See, everywhere, even in a distribution system, we are using SCADA. So now it has been, it is like people will say it's a outdated concept. That what is the new concept? Like in what we call a replacement of SCADA is phasor measuring units. If you use the concept of phasor measuring, the phasor measuring units will give the accurate information of frequency, phase, and its magnitude. Phase I think everybody knows how phase is important in uh, in distribution system side. Another aspect is security and identity management, a sharing of resources, competition is one term. It can be correlated to the trading also. Also transparency. These are the terms which are more important in the electricity market. Why we are moving towards the blockchain technology. This is the picture which gives the information about wholesale energy trading and supply. As we know, in power markets, markets are classified into several categories. One is, everybody knows Pulco market, and some in the market structure, if it is a traditional level, how it is happens. Suppose company is a generating station. Okay, so they produce power, and the price for that power will be fixed, and now that will be communicated, and sometimes in the brokering, the broker will take care the information from company A to company B, and that will be exchanged. So some terms like price discovery, these are the it gives the information about transformation of markets with blockchain technology. You see the left side, what is the current operation of market structure? As you know, in the current market structure, there are generators, like suppliers, large generators. The main players, generators and the consumers. And now, due to the development of renewable energy sources, there are storage capacity with renewable energy sources. What is the source of information? The large generators and consumers approaches the bank, and trading will be happened here. And once the trading is done, it will be passed to the network operator and also energy retailer and also residential consumers. And now here, electricity transformation is from large generator to network operator, energy retailer, meter operator, and residential consumers. Sometimes excess power will be stored. So this is the actual market structure. And if you look into the current restructured market, there are some entities like independent system operator looks into the entire trading. It matches, ISO matches what is the price quoted by the supplier and what is the price quoted by the consumer, and it will try to match both suppliers and consumers. It is called bidding strategy. So there are some strategies in bidding. So this bidding strategy, it's like markets again are divided into two aspects. One is wholesale market. that we are looking the current, and here both generators and consumers, suppliers and consumers follow certain rules. But when we go for blockchain technology, if you want to replace with this decentralized market structure with help of the blockchain market structure, it will be like this. So there are three parameters: how the electricity is generated, and how what should be the data, how the data is processing from one entity to another entity, and third one is payment. How much seller is quoted and how much buyer is quoted. So these are the three important aspects: electricity generation and utilization, what is the payment, and how the data is transferred. So there are, literally speaking, two players. One is supplier, another one is a buyer. So how the information should be passed? So here the large generators, I mean renewable energy sources, if enough generation is there, that can be stored in the storage, and here from here there will be communication from storage to network operator, and all it is connected to consumers from here, consumers. So this is what, if I say the upper part is completely generation and storing of some amount of energy, and then they approach us to network operator, and it will be passed to the various loads, residential consumers and industrial consumers. So here, what is the role of blockchain technology? Here, it takes information from the generators and how much storage and renewable energy sources, and also it takes the information from residential consumers and industrial, all from all buyers. So if you design an architecture at this stage, so every transaction may be automated, in the sense, for everywhere you have to define your own architecture to implement blockchain technology in market structure. So all benefits which I told, one is the security, because entire data will be available with this here, and also the control aspect, and can be automated. So there will be a sub branch, like a trading platform will be available to the markets. So broadly speaking, in electricity market, like in a deregulated power markets, there will be change from vertical integrated utilities to deregulation. The first aspect is, you look into the traditional operation, first load should be predicted, and then you have to look into some aspects like how many generators are required in meeting the power demand, and then that amount of power will be generated by the selective generators. That is the tradition. In deregulated power markets and current electricity markets, what is the issue? Load is not the matter. Here the issue is how the price is important. Electricity price should be first forecasted, and then all players here, sellers and buyers, will participate in the market. And for supply there will be one curve, for demand is one. The ISO, independent system operator, matches both the supplier side and buyer side, and it ISO fix one particular data, one particular price, that is called MCP, marginal cost price. So based on the marginal cost price, who is willing to sell or who is willing to buy will be decided by the buyers, sellers and buyers. Suppose if sellers get profit with that marginal cost price, then only he will participate, he will sell. So the risk will be taken by the independent system operator and power exchange, etc. But if blockchain technology is adopted, then in the structure of electricity market can be changed. I hope currently several utilities, several companies, several private owned companies, as well as some startups are actively working on how to develop blockchain technology for electricity markets. So with this, this part will be done. And now, how this blockchain technology is used in smart grids. So before going to that, I will give a very basic information about blockchain smart grid. We know grid. It's nothing but, it literally speaking, it's like a node, a big node. There are connecting point. So we know what are the key issues in the existing grid. So as I told, three entities: generation, transmission, and distribution. And we know the issues with generation, and we know the issues with transmission and distribution. So here, how to make your existing grid as a smart grid. So the critical issues, because some of you are aware about critical issues with the grid, is first parameters frequency and voltage. Okay, these are the two important, very major parameters while maintaining the grid. So because of the integration of renewable energy sources to the grid, so we require, sometimes if it is a solar energy conversion system, it is in the form of DC. When you wanted to integrate your solar to the grid, that should be converted first from DC to AC, and you have to match your frequency and voltage to the grid frequency and voltage. So there are some control strategies at that level. So the another one, transmitting. While transmitting power to the utilities, we are using a transmission system. So in the transmission system, what are the problems? If it is excess power is being transmitted through a particular line, so you need to check all issues with respect to outages or contingency or some other kind of analysis. So that means your data must be available to make your grid to smart grid. We use load frequency controllers for frequency monitoring and automatic voltage regulators for voltage. So still there is a problem with the stability, small signal stability, transient stability, some relay coordinations. All in when we speak about smart grid, means we have to speak about all the critical issues in the grid. So the major three components which are named: generation, transmission, and distribution. Everywhere we have problems while looking at the real-time operation of power system. So all critical issues can be addressed in grid, and those we can some I mean, with help of the smart grid, all generating side, monitoring side, controlling side, all problems can be resolved with effective implementation of smart grids. Here our focus, today's presentation is focused only on how blockchain technology can be used in the smart grid. It is only with respect to the transaction, financial transaction only. As I told, it is nowhere connected with the voltage, nowhere connected with the frequency and some other issues related to the power system. It is only related how blockchain technology can be used for energy transactions in smart grid. So I think, day by day, this demand for electricity is increasing. And if you just dig some information, why USA always fights with Iran and Iraq, only because of their survival for electricity, petrol, crude, everything. Because even in India also, maybe within the period of 30 years or 40 years, there will be shortage in coal, there will be shortage in petrol, diesel, everything. Therefore, we need some alternative approaches and alternative ways to generate power. So therefore, we are closely moving towards renewable energy sources, microgrids, and we are sometimes using this smart grid for effective monitoring, control, and operation of the entire power system network. So, there, to be honest, we are facing problem with the T&D losses, the transmission and distribution losses, and also we are facing problem with power quality. So whenever you go for inverter design to convert from a DC to AC or AC to DC, whatever operation you do, you use some either these power electronic devices. Everybody knows that with converter and inverter, there are problems with power quality, and people are working on it to improve the power quality using some control strategy, some levels of inverters. So there are problems still, and also security of supply. We can minimize power losses. We can also maintain high quality of power, and also security can be expected with help of the smart grid. And mostly these some terms like outages, blackouts, surges, especially in rural network. Outage, I think in 2012, July 22nd, if I'm not wrong, the entire north grid failure, it is because of only one 400 kV. I read the entire report of around 67 pages. Only because of one 400 kV transmission line is overloaded, and because of that entire blackout happens in north side, north part of India. These kind of problems like outage, line outage, if you monitor effectively how much power is transmitted through a particular transmission, if you know the limits of the transmission line, then we have very sophisticated algorithms to maintain the entire record. The outages can be avoided, blackouts and surges. Still, I can say if the transmission and distribution losses are around 20% in India, when it compared with Norway, Sweden, they have only 7 to 8% of transmission loss. It is because our Indian transmission network mostly related to the rural areas. So in the rural areas, we know the problem with the distribution transformer and feeders. And if we adapt smart grid technologies, I can say metering, like theft can be avoided by using smart meters. Metering, that is telecommunication network, how much power is generated and how much is required, that can be communicated through telecom. With the development of proper instrumentation and also telecommunication networks, this smart grid can be the existing grid can be made as a smart grid by monitoring and controlling of certain things with help of the advanced metering advanced metering and telecommunication network. The smart grids also give an opportunity to motivate active consumers towards the rational and sustainable use of energy. And in the sense, if we adopt a best market structure in the smart grid, that means they will consumers and suppliers will get more benefits. This is also concept of deregulation, like more benefits with less risks. Again, I will give one information. Yesterday, madam has explained about electric vehicles in societies. So with help of this smart grid, we can also get more benefits with electric vehicles. Demand side management is also one concept. There are two kind of things. One is supplier side management, demand side management. So that means if we correctly forecast our power demand, then it is possible. Like if we have correct information about how much is power demand at that particular minute or second, if the same amount of power is generated, then we can get more benefits with respect to security and control analysis of the grids. It also improves the system relativity by reconfiguring the grid and promoting the isolated promotion to whatever. See, in India, as I told, there are 5 grids. Now they are trying to make it as a unique grid. Like all these 5 grids will be interconnected, and they will try to have one particular grid, and the transaction of uh, power from one grid to another grid, one regional grid to another regional grid, will be made very simple with help of this. As I told already, telecommunication network gives the best to the end users, and means proper communication. If you see the SCADA, supervisory control and data acquisition system, there we use um, uh, for effective monitoring. There we use one technique to see the data redundancy and bad data. For that, we use some techniques to adapt it. But with help of laser measuring unit, we can get the accurate data. If the accurate data is presented, then we can maintain our system. So here my original discussion is not to speak more on smart grids, so, but how this blockchain technology is useful, or how this blockchain technology can be used in smart grids. So as I told already, main focus is how electricity market can be designed using blockchain technology in smart grid. So here, these are the 5 terms which has connection between blockchain technology and smart grid. First of all, what is the concept? Concept in the sense, suppose if we go for a monitoring of a frequency or monitoring of voltage, and like strategy market strategy from a buyer to seller. So that we must define very clearly what should be the our concept. So as I told, whether it is a monitoring or controlling or trading, then depending on our concept, structure should be defined. Structure should be defined in the sense, as I told, there are several architectures available in blockchain technology. For our current application, what should be the structure and architecture for our application for the smart grid? And the third important aspect is a node. As I told, each each block is connected with the help of the node. We must define the term like the structure, node, ownership, and transaction with respect to smart grid. The another aspect of ownership in the sense, there are only 2 players. Let me clearly tell you, there are only 2 players, suppliers and buyers. So supplier is also owner, buyer is also owner. His intention to sell power, his intention to buy power. And the transaction, what should be the mode of transaction? So based on that, how these 5 key terms connect blockchain technology to the smart grid. SWOT concept proposed a solution for the double spending problem in digital money without any central authorization or the decentralization of power. So what is the main motive of blockchain technology? It's like a peer-to-peer or peer-to work. There are some kind of terms. Peer-to-peer in the sense one hand to another hand. So there is no requirement of centralization authority. So here let me clearly tell you market strategy, seller and buyer. So in the current market structure, power exchange, ISO, every aspect is there. But here we are trying to simplify the market strategy using blockchain technology. So therefore, like completely decentralized. In the conventional transaction, what happens? Buyer purchase something and the paper transfer money physically to the pay. Okay, this is the traditional how power is being transmitted from suppliers to buyer. Okay, but in digitalization mode, how it happens? If it is only market structure, seller will be given one information and buyer will be given one information. Once the seller is ready to sell, so he will be given some kind of information. So that information will be processed. So here, even in a banking system also, it is same. So what is the structure? As I told in the blockchain, it consists of blocks. Okay, so each block is executed using hash function. It is in the form of time sequential manner. Like suppose if you insert your ATM card and enter the 4-digit number, then if something goes wrong with the central processing, suppose server down, whatever, if something happens at the bank, then what will happen? It's like timed out. So therefore, in blockchain technology, it is a sequence. Each block will be executed with a time manner and with using the hash function. What each block consists of a bundle of transactions. So that means you know what is the function for each block, how transactions happens. What is hash function? I told it is a mathematical expression that produce fixed output given any input. So input is given. If input is given, it is executed. Hash function is executed. Finally, you get output. If any change, as I told, slight change in input will produce significant slight change in the sense if 4-digit number is given to you, if you type 1 digit as a wrong number, that won't be executed in that particular block. That is the some kind of benefits with this blockchain. So this will be repeated. This will be repeated in the sense, suppose there are 3 blocks. Each block is defined with one function. So each function will be executed. If one block is executed, the output will be given to another block, and this will be repeated until you get. So what is node? When it is connected to, when it is correlated to smart grid, this is what, in a simple term, a node is just what? If you have multiple blocks, those multiple blocks will be connected at one particular point. That point is taken as a. So here in a node, if multiple transactions are there, that one block can be removed or one can be attached. It depends on time. In Bitcoin block network, there are only 2 main nodes. What are the two main nodes? So here the nodes are classified when it is applied to smart grid technology, nodes are classified into different categories. It's a full node. Another one is light node. So these classification and divisions of nodes depending on the requirement at the smart grid. Like if there are some major generating stations, the renewable energy, private mode. So each part is will be given as a particular place. Here in the full node means it includes verifying the transaction and maintain the consents among other full nodes. Like all transactions will be happens and it maintains the consensus among the other connecting nodes. But in light nodes, it has a limited resources. Limited resources in the sense simple, like if you go for simple payment verification to validate transactions. But the third one is ownership. So if it is a smart grid application, ownership will determine in the sense what, who are the players, who will be the participators. So for all the participators, ownership will be given in the sense what, it's like permissions will be given to all owners, and all individual owner will be defined with a node. So he has a right. He has a right to perform the transactions in the sense, suppose at that particular node, that node slot is given to a supplier. Supplier has option to participate in the transactions, and that also the ownership is like a particular uh, slot will be given to owners. So that depends on who are the suppose who are the main players to participate in that particular one. So here, while giving the ownership, there are two kind of ownerships. One is permissionless. Another permissionless means what? He cannot do anything there. Permission is not required. In the means he can participate, he can do anything. Another one, that means the permissionless blockchain, anybody can participate. Anybody can participate in auction system. You see, in a traditional auction, sealed bids will be submitted to the sealed bid will be submitted. So there it means whoever submitted the bids, they are eligible to participate. That is what some permission is required. You have to approach, get consent from them. That is a permission. Permissionless, it's like in a like so when you travel in a train, there are some people comes and do some kind of auction mechanism. He will quote one price. It is a cost of 1,000 rupees. Then anybody can participate. That is called permissionless. In the permission blockchain, it's like a private, public and private blockchain. If it is permissioned blockchain, it will has a limited access to a certain entity. That means my ATM card can be used by now recently what is the condition to withdraw money? You have to insert your ATM, you have to type 4-digit number, and then one SMS will be sent to your mobile, and if you type that, then only security code, then only you are able to receive money, I mean withdraw money. If my ATM card is given to some other person, that means that other person will have like he cannot withdraw money. That is the difference between permissionless and permissioned blockchain. And also, see, in some of the institutions, like or if you have any software, okay, so password will be given to certain people who are like the concerned people. That's not private. Then You cannot permissionless and the other one, while defining the ownership, is the hybrid block. Hybrid in the sense, in certain operations, permissions are given. In certain operations, permissions are not given. In the sense, suppose one class is going on in a college. A student can enter into one particular room only. Whatever room is assigned to him, he can enter into that room only. But you see, when a principal is looking at all the classes, but principal has complete authority to check every room. But lab assistant or some other people cannot enter. So in some applications, you require both permissionless and with permission. Another aspect is transaction. How the transaction takes place. Here, producer node generate electricity. Producer node in the sense, one node is assigned to the supplier. So what is his job? He will generate based on the requirement. Okay. So whenever he is ready to supply power, then at that particular node, so one node is assigned to supplier. So that node generates a token with corresponding values in that. So concerned party is ready to participate. So he will enter like input. I am ready. Then one code will be generated. Code in the sense in the form of token. Like when you travel on an outer ring road. So when you enter into the entry point, at the entry point, you will be given one token. That means what? You are ready to travel. Where you will pay money and you exit, then based on the distance covered on ORR, so bill will be given at the exit point. So entering point and exit point. So you will be given one bill token. That token will be appear. So they will have exit point and entry point. They will have some kind of communication. Okay, that same data, the same token will be reappeared in the form of another token. Okay, so here in electricity markets, if producer is ready, I mean supplier is ready, then it places the order. Yes, it places them. That means he is participating. He is participating. And similarly, when the consumer is participated, consumer will be given the another token. Okay, now he is also willing to buy power. So now these both will be like some kind of transaction will be happen between buyer and seller. So finally, that contract will be that means some transaction will be completed. So when it comes to smart grid, we know who are the players. So as I told, first we have to define nodes because each node has the responsibility to participate or at that particular node only function that function will hash function will be defined. So here there are two kind of nodes. Let me see the cluster A here. Conventional generator is appearing. So therefore, one node is defined here. Full node. Full node in the sense. This one, full node and near to this transformer here. So he has complete accessibility in defining. And lighter producer and suppliers. Here are the producers. Producer green color. They are the producers, power producers here. And the customers, consumers is defined with red. So now, whatever the amount of power is generated, okay, they are the players. They are the owners. So ownership is given to both suppliers and consumers. So now the transaction will be taken place at nodes. Okay. So for this kind, for this only the for this what is the transaction from suppliers to buyers. So he will be given one token here when he participates. He will be given one token here when he participates buyer. So if during the transaction it will be so here who are the nodes? Producer, consumers, and sometimes you may be the producer or you may be the consumer also. Because suppose in your college you have renewable energy sources that is integrated. Okay. Suppose at that sometimes you may have a deficit of power. So that time you will buy and you will also sell. Therefore, both will be appears and distribution points. So what is the role of producer? Create and sell power plants. What is the role of consumer? Purchase and consume. Here, if both are present, then both create and sell and also purchase. These are the distribution points acts like as I have shown at distribution point. This is the full node. That means what he has all authorities. So what is the modern trend of this power generation with including of this like industry 4.0 and IoT Internet of Things. So here in future even it is expected in India that first you take a home. Suppose if he has any renewable energy sources with him like wind and solar, so how much is generated and how much is deficit to this home, that will be taken from the service line. Okay, here all transaction taken place. Now this information will be communicated through internet. Like there are several protocols. Our data, our data can be exported. Our even using the smart meters, what how much power is consumed, how much power is generated, that can be recorded and that can be stored. That can be through internet. Suppose you are standing. I mean, your home is here and their power generation is somewhere other location. So there is a proper communication between the supplier and consumer. So therefore, as I told, if there is any mismatch between demand and generation, you will be having problem with frequency. And because of the power transmission from remote, some other location to some remote places, you will be having some voltage problems because of drops. Therefore, in future, this is the structure. So everything is monitored using block. So I will give you one example how this blockchain technology can be adapted in a smart grid. Suppose assume that he is one supplier, he has capacity to sell power of 8 megawatts. Okay, so now this 8 megawatts has been split into 3 modes. That means here one hash function will be there. So one in what is the input? 8 megawatts data is entered. He will be given one token, and it is split. We will define one that function. So how it is splitted? 1 megawatt to one block, 4 megawatts to this block, and 3 megawatts to this block. So therefore, there are 3 individual blocks. Now here, when it comes to second stage, here 1 megawatt is supplied, is available. So it is consumed, completely consumed. So what is the outcome? It is 0. And suppose come to the second one, 4 megawatts is given. Out of this 4 megawatts, only 3 megawatts is consumed and one is left. So this will be given to some third block. If multiple transactions are there, it will be processed to the next level. Suppose in this block, they have their own generation of 1 megawatt and they received 3 megawatts. So total is 4. Out of 4, 2 is utilized. So 2 is left. So these 2 will be given to second level. So here what? Out of 8 megawatt and one more, like assume that it is a renewable energy source, then total out of 8, here 6 are utilized, 3 are left. So this pricing, and if you have a proper architecture of blockchain technology, blockchain, then this will be further, can this additional supply can be given to some others if availability is there. In this way we can develop. Is it boring? Hello?
No, sir.
Is it boring, madam?
No, sir. Absolutely good.
Okay. With that, electricity market and smart grid application of this blockchain technology, but whatever the technology is adopted, whatever the technology, either whether it is an algorithm or any kind of mathematical tool or any developments that can be adapted to power system or in energy, power and energy sector, because we have enough problems wherever the problem that can be resolved using latest technology. So what is the practical implementation of this blockchain technology, where it is currently used, who are the active players working on blockchain technology and its application to this power, electricity or smart grid, whatever. So I have found some information relevant to latest technology, like this blockchain technology application to the grid. This is one company, Transactive Grid, which was co-founded by, these are the three players, LO3 Energy, a Green Energy, and Consens in. These are all startup. First startup related to blockchain technology, Transactive Grid, in the year of 2016. So we already discussed about some architectures of blockchain technology. So this company is using this Ethereum architecture based blockchain technology. And as I told, electricity is now a commodity. So prime job is like transferring power from one point to another point by the payment. It's like a financial analysis. What in that particular transaction they are using this distributed energy sources and so many things, and they have developed one software also. So here it is very clear, when you adopt blockchain technology, first of all you should have clear idea about your application, and in that particular application what are the stages, so how each stage is interlinked, and how to define a particular mathematical function each stage. So here in their application only a financial transaction while selling power from one point to another point. So this is one good video available in YouTube. You can see the about company and a speech from CMD. Another blockchain technology development in power sector is a power ledger, is in Australia. They are using like a peer-to-peer solar power transaction systems. Some classification in Bitcoin, peer-to-peer, P2P, and POW, proof of work. Proof of work means in peer-to-peer, like if you deposit some amount, like if you watch Athadu movie, Mahesh Babu will say something, you keep that money under one seat in a train. Okay, he will come and keep it there, and Mahesh Babu will collect it. So there is no data available. That is, someone kept money and another person took money. There is no evidence, no transaction, nothing. Transaction happens without any evidence. That is nothing but this P2P. If some amount is available in your Paytm wallet, and if someone enters that data, he will take, and there will be evidence. That means what? How the transaction takes place one person to another person. That is the difference between P2P and centralized process system. In proof of work, all transactions will be recorded. Another one is proof of stake. These are some terms appears in Bitcoin. The P2P, proof of work, proof of stake system. They developed for this energy sector, the solar power transactions. How someone may ask me, what is the current development of this blockchain technology in India, whether anybody is working in India or not. I will show this YouTube main link just for curiosity, because I also need 2 minutes rest. Just 1 second. Power little. Somewhere in this video, the founder of PowerCon, talks about tie up with Tech Mahindra. Maybe this second link, this link. Just watch this link, know some information. What is the initiative of blockchain technology in power sector? Just watch this video. Exactly at the 8th minute, he speaks about blockchain technology in power sector in India. He had some discussion with Tech Mahindra, and they are going to float their idea even in India in power sector. The another one is this CARE lab, carbon reduction efforts lab in China. Is also another startup. They have developed this blockchain technology for the green asset management. It's like green energy internet applications, providing green asset management application the whole value of chain of energy industry with the development of renewable energy sources. This is very good information where exactly we are using blockchain technology in India, including all I have provided that link. You just go through that link and you will find so much information about many startups who are using blockchain technology for several fields in India. These are all blockchain factory, Solulab, Open Excel. They have found so many, but mostly I told the blockchain technology in the beginning it is started for financial analysis and this complete finance. Many startups are working on it, blockchain technology for financial services, and hopefully there will be growth of this blockchain technology in smart grids and electricity markets. Then you can go through each website, you will find more information, what kind of architectures they are using, what kind of applications they are adopting blockchain technology. All these companies presently located in India, and some private limited companies are closely working with other countries. Okay, this is the summary of today's webinar. Description about blockchain technology, all related to blockchain technology, architecture, electricity markets, blockchain technology for smart grid, and what are the uh, recent developments and future scope. Definitely, if you are really working on in the area of power and energy sector, see the research is also the research scenario has been changed in power system. Mostly the current research is going on in the area of power and energy markets, more on smart grids, security, controlling, analysis. Therefore, this is one of the best areas to work on blockchain technology. Blockchain technology, background for this blockchain technology, cryptography. So I am repeating the same words what our chief guests are told about teamwork. So maybe I have provided very brief information about blockchain technology and their its architectures for various applications. It's very brief information. So you pick one particular application where transactions are necessary. See, you can actively work on generation side like power sector, various clean energy sources, integration side, how the data should be stored, what kind of architecture can be adopted. It is open to everyone. These blockchain technologies can be used for electricity power markets and also other engineering applications. So my sincere advice to the scholars exclusively who are presented for today's webinar, without shy, go to your neighbor departments and talk to computer science department faculty and electronics and communication, instrumentation, sometimes mechanical. See, most of the work now, if you just watch any video related to industry 4.0 or IoT, these are all mixtures. These are all mixes, like combination of some departments, integrated. That means just go and talk to the people. Even in many IITs and NITs and universities, they are working together. If you look at any doctoral school committee members, chairman will be the head of the department, other two people from the other departments. So therefore, it is completely interdisciplinary. Blockchain technology can be used to any area of engineering. Wherever you require smooth transactions, wherever you require security, wherever you require monitoring, even see, huge research work is going on in vibrations. We know vibration. We know only the meaning of vibration in electrical machines. If stator is connected with rotor, if rotor is rotating, you will sneeze the sound. You will just listen the sound even from our fan also. But we don't know where that sound is appearing. Is it because of rotation, or it is because of armature reaction, or it is because of what? These are very effective areas. So therefore, talk to the people, get the information, more information, and you can effectively take this particular part as challenge. And most of the countries, tremendous growth is happening in energy sector, and people are saying that there is no market for, there is no employability for electrical engineering or electronics engineering. But definitely, with these recent developments in renewable energy and some software technologies, whatever it is, blockchain technology, cryptography, big data analysis, or machine learning, you take any application that can be linked to the power system. To be honest, machine learning techniques can be used for forecasting of price or forecasting of anything in electricity markets. And if you take big data analysis, I'll give one simple example. If you work on matrix analysis, like inversion of 4 by 4 matrix, you cannot do with hand. But if you look at load flow study, sometimes if you take a small part of a city, you will find more than 500 transmission lines. So where you will store that data? 500 into 500, 500. If you have 500 generating points like nodes, then you have to solve 500 by 500 matrix. Where you will store the data? So Python, whatever. If you have a fair idea on about your problem, even see signal processing. Most of 70% of the applications are related to power quality from signal processing only. So therefore, you should have a particular problem statement related to power or electrical engineering, and if dig the information which is required from the other departments. So therefore, all engineering branches can be connected to the electrical engineering. So I must say thank to first participants, because participants bear almost 2 hours with me, and also the second thank to the organizers, exclusively two organizers, and also head of the department of electrical engineering department, Andhra University, and all my teachers who taught me the course of power system, who guided me in the area of power system, and exclusively my students from BITS Pilani. Today I am speaking all these words in front of you. It is all contribution of students from BITS Pilani. I once again thank all of you. Thank you very much. It is open for discussion or questions from participants.
Participants, any queries? Yeah, you can use the chat box. If you want to ask any question, you can use the chat box also. Any questions from the participants? You can use this platform. Yes, participants, you can ask the questions.
All participants are available or not available? There are many mighty faces. I can see around 52 participants.
Sir, they are not unmuting themselves, sir.
Acha, okay. Madam,
Okay. Uh, you just must use the chat box so that they can unmute it. Sir, one question from Vamsi Krishna. On which software platform you are using this blockchain?
see, blockchain technology, it's like technology only. Any platform can be used. I mean, if it is related to coding analysis, coding means any platform can be used.
Certainly, sir. We will share the link. We will share the link. The presentation will be shared to you. Certainly, we will share the link. Any more? Any more queries? You can use your chat box. If you are unable to unmute yourself, please use the chat box.
Participants can use chat box.
Sir, shall we close the session, sir? I think everybody is, everybody got clear. Sir, they're asking about your email ID, sir.
Okay.
Sir, one more question. Is there any programming language required to learn this blockchain?
Preferably depending on the application. If suppose your application is related to statistical analysis, go for Python. If it is very generic application, then you go with MATLAB. Madam, to be honest, blockchain technology is a mathematical tool. So if it is related to mathematical tool, means any coding platform can be used. Preferably, if it is related to financial analysis or statistical analysis. Suppose if you want to develop a particular any app, then you can go with Python or R programming. Or if it is if your application is a very generic application, then use your known coding platform. It's a mathematical tool.
Any more? Any more queries from the participant side? Thank you. Yeah, sure. We will share the PPTs of today's session and tomorrow's session. Sure. Nagaraju, we will share it.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, sir. Sir is in online.
Yeah, you can speak.
Sir, forecasting analysis also is a mathematical tool. There we use the statistical analysis. It takes the past values and create the day ahead data. But you are in, it is a real-time data, but how much accurate than the forecasting analysis? There also we use the statistical data. Regression methods also there in the forecasting analysis. How much accurate than the forecasting analysis? But nowadays we are using the forecasting analysis in normal grid operations. You are saying that how much accurate than the forecasting analysis?
Okay, here actually you can integrate your forecasting analysis with the blockchain technology. I told Hyperledger architecture is available. You can make your own code. You can make, suppose if it is only statistical analysis means, so suppose if you are using for load forecasting or price forecasting, you will be having last 6 months data, right? Suppose
Yes.
your last 6 months data, you are going to predict upcoming one month. Then you will correlate your data, like you will find its indices like root mean square error or mean square error, map, app. So
Yes.
you will find that based on that accuracy is found. Accuracy means what? How accurate between the predicted data and the present data, right? That is also you will use one technique. Suppose if you use very time series analysis, time series method, any time series method, it is what it will give accuracy between your present and forecasted. That is a technique. Even it is blockchain technology is also one technique. Suppose if you have multiple operations in your application, each block will be defined. Suppose if it is forecasting analysis only, forecasting analysis that subtool in operation. Here you can also use that forecasting analysis as a back data.
Yes.
You got my point?
Yes, sir. Got me, sir. Sir, one more question, sir. Sir, in forecasting analysis, we have day ahead and medium and short term forecasting. Sir, in blockchain method, how much minimum time we can get the accurate current values, real time values?
Okay. Once again, I am telling the same thing. Blockchain technology is a tool. It's like a black box only. Whatever function you will define, whatever function you will execute, that will be defined by us only.
Okay.
So here you said 3 categories in price forecasting, load forecasting: short, very short, medium, long. The classification depending on your particular application. Let me tell very clearly. If it is power system in the planning, suppose you want to install a new transformer at a distribution side, okay, you will need the calculations. How long you will do the calculation? One time calculation per year is sufficient. Suppose if it is power generation, you have to meet always with the load. So therefore, forecasting that should be very, very short.
Yes.
How much time to communicate this much power demand is required? It's like fraction of seconds. So therefore, accuracy always depend on the kind of application in forecasting.
Okay, sir.
The forecasting technique is a technique. Blockchain technology is a technique. Suppose in your problem or in your application, to supply a particular amount of power to the distribution system side by maintaining the accuracy, then in that case, the forecasting technique will be one subtool to the blockchain technology.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any more queries from the participant side? I think we can wind up, sir.
Okay, madam.
Okay, so sir, thank you for your excellent presentation, sir. And once again, on behalf of our organizing committee, we thank you for accepting as a resource person for our webinar, sir. Really, this session is interesting and very informative, and it is really brainstorming, sir. In fact, it will certainly help the participants for their future research work. Thank you for your excellent presentation, sir. And the application of this blockchain technology in smart grids is really a very new topic, and it's a very hot topic also in the present scenario. I think hope all the participants might have utilized this session for their future research work. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us, for spending your valuable time, and for inculcating more knowledge to our participants. Thanks once again, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. All the best for all participants for your quiz exam.
Yeah, yes, sir. Okay, I think I have to announce the quiz timing also. Dear participants, we'll be having the quiz too at 3:45 p.m. and ends at 4:15 p.m. So that is the quiz timing. And the valedictory will be starting at 4:30. So here you will be getting two kinds of certificates. One certificate is the certificate of participation that depends upon your attendance, and the second one is depending upon the quiz. So we are going to consider both the quizzes. So we are going to take the average of the quiz marks, and we'll be giving best three, top one, top two, top three, as a certificate of appreciation to those persons who get the 1, 2, 3. So all the best for your second quiz. So we'll meet at 3:45 p.m. again in the Google Meet to have your quiz too. Thank you. Bye-bye.